Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole mixed with some relationships too. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now our first story comes from Slow Hovercraft 4860 and does come with an update. It's titled, Am I the arsehole for refusing to go to my sister's wedding? I, male 27, have a twin sister, female 27. For as long as I can remember, my sister and I have always been close and had each other's backs. When she came out as gay, I was the first one she told. I supported her wholeheartedly. 3 years ago, I was engaged to my then girlfriend, Julie. We had met in college and became fast friends, eventually becoming a couple. I proposed to Julie and she said yes. Everything seemed fine until I noticed that Julie had started to be a little more distant with me. Not giving me a cold shoulder or anything, but off. I asked her if she was okay, but she said she's fine but would like some space for a while. I was worried, but I respected her wishes and gave her space. A few weeks later, she broke up with me. I was devastated and didn't know what happened. I reached out to my sister for support and she was there for me. She and Julie had gotten along really well, so I asked her if she knew what had happened. She was hesitant but said yes. I asked to explain and she said it's not her place to tell me. I kept pushing, but my sister stood her ground and said that she can't say why and Julie will tell me when and if she is ready. Turns out Julie was bisexual and thought it was just passing feelings. She had never been with a girl before. She spoke to my sister about it and my sister helped her realize her true sexuality and feelings. Her words. Julie told me that it wouldn't be fair to either of us if she didn't embrace her true self and the fact she no longer had the same feelings for me she had before. I was stunned but eventually accepted it. We parted on good terms even if it was awkward. I was heartbroken but eventually moved on. Didn't start dating or want to though for a while. Then one day, I found out Julie had started dating another girl. My sister. I was shocked and admittedly a bit angry at both of them. I had an argument with my sister. My sister swore they didn't do anything while she was with me, but Julie had admitted she had a crush on my sister. My sister liked her back, but didn't do anything because of me. She swore she didn't make Julie dump me to be with her. The sad part was I could tell she was telling the truth. After that, my relationship with my sister wasn't as great as it used to be. I stopped talking to her as much or visiting. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, my sister comes over alone and tells me that she and Julie are engaged, and she was here to invite me to the wedding. The rest of the conversation was a blur, but after she left, I drank. A lot, and after thinking about it for a few days, I told my sister I wouldn't be attending her wedding. She was heartbroken and begged me to come, because she wanted me there. Even my mum called me, asking me to come. I told her no. Regardless, I refused to go. I can't stand having to be there in the crowd and see my sister marry the woman I had planned to marry. I don't know. Maybe I'm just holding a grudge. Am I the arsehole? Now, you know what I'm like when I come into these stories. I always try to step into that person's shoes first, and I'm trying to step into OP's sister's shoes in this particular situation. I think, who would do this to a sibling? Date their ex and, expect them to be absolutely fine. I'm sure it happens, but I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable with that at all. I think if I knew I was going ahead with that, I would know automatically it would ruin the relationship with my sibling. And why would you want to do that to someone that you love? Why would you want to hurt them in that way? And then asking them to attend your wedding? Surely it must jump straight to the front of your mind and think, they're not going to be okay with this. They're not going to want to come to the wedding. And both of them need to realize that you need to have your boundaries now, because you seeing them together is damaging you. It's damaging your mental health. And of course it is. But we're going to start off with Punisher, who says, not the arsehole. I mean, your sister crossed a line in my opinion. I would never date any of my brother's exes, even if I had feelings. That is a line I would never cross. Carrying on, it says, not the arsehole. It's bad enough she's with your ex, but to know how it affected you and still ask you to come to the wedding is insane. I don't understand how she thought that interaction was going to go. In what universe were you supposed to graciously accept that invitation? Bob's bad bitch says not the arsehole. Your sister and Julie. If I knew how to use Reddit, I'll do the Rachel saying Julie in Friends gif. Are the fucking arseholes. I'd refuse to, and I probably never would forgive them or want anything to do with them. It is just immoral. Don't let your parents guilt you into it because it shows how much they are arseholes too. They should be telling your sister actually it isn't inappropriate to invite your sister after what you've done to her. Sending love. A deleted user says not the arsehole, your engagement broke down only 3 years ago. To be expected to watch your ex-fiancé walk down the aisle to anyone else, especially your siblings, so soon is a definite no. You do not need to disguise the hurt you feel for the benefit of someone who honestly does not care about your feelings. Ducky says, if you are uncomfortable supporting their relationship, then you should not attend the wedding, but please don't resort to drinking to deal with their actions and decisions. Your sister knew this would make you uncomfortable, and that's why she didn't tell you when they started dating. That's on her. She should have been upfront with you. And one more from a walk 1,000 miles who says not the arsehole. What kind of sibling would do this to their sibling? You have every right on the planet not to go. The fact that your family wants you to go is also disconcerting. Why do you have to rub your nose in the fact that your sister is marrying the woman that you were engaged to? You are not a masochist. In my opinion, they crossed a line when they decided to date each other. Whether it was 1 year or 3 years after you break up. You just do not do that to someone you love and care about. It is a code. We always have this code when we were growing up and dating. You do not date your friends/family's exes no matter what. In my friend circle, it was very much taboo and something that would not happen. If it did happen, they would be ostracized out of the friend group. I think both of them were in the wrong. Sure, you can't help who you fall in love with. However, they can darn well make sure that they did not date your twin sister and your ex-fiancé. They should not have done that. There are millions and millions and millions of people on the planet. It will be difficult for you at family functions from now on, especially when they attend the functions. But you will somehow have to get acclimated to that if you want to continue your relationship with your family as a whole. Also, plan something really fun on that day. Try to get out of town and do something that you've always wanted to do. Get your mind off the whole thing. And consider not answering your phone, sending everything to voicemail or turning it off that day at least, so that you are not notified of everything that is going on that day, so that other people don't call you up and tell you about it, send pictures or ask where you are, etc. Then, when it is over, you can have a trusted friend listen to the voicemails and erase them for you. Also, they can look at their instant messages and erase the pictures if anything came over. Consider removing yourself from certain social media platforms they might post to. Virtual hugs. Now, let's move on to first the edit and then the update. So the edit says, thank you everyone for your responses. Even if I didn't respond to all of them. I've read all of them. I've decided not to attend the wedding. While part of me is still hurt, the truth of the matter is that my sister was more than just a twin. She was my best friend since birth, and right now I can't bring myself to cut her off completely. For now, I'm going low contact and I'll be looking at taking a trip to Vancouver during the time of the wedding. And there was a comment where someone had asked for an extra bit of info and they said, how long was it between when you broke up with her and your sister started dating her? And Opie replied saying just under a year after we broke up, and both of them swore they didn't do anything with either while Julie was with me. I believe them on that front, but they did have feelings for each other while Julie was with me. So this update came 2 months later, which said, hey everyone, the wedding was last weekend and as I said in an edit, I took a trip to Vancouver. I disconnected from everyone and just enjoyed the beautiful Canadian city. Before going, I called my sister and told her that I wasn't coming. I figured I owed my twin that much. She was upset, but she surprisingly agreed with my decision. I told my parents and they told me they understood. So I left last Friday and came back this Monday. From what I heard, many people asked about me, but the wedding went off without a hitch. While I was there, I decided despite everything, I love my sister and still wanted a relationship with her. So when I came home on Monday, I drove straight to her place. Luckily, my ex was asleep and they weren't leaving for their honeymoon until Tuesday. I took my sister to a local cafe. We loved as kids and talked. I explained to her my feelings and even showed her the post I made and all your comments. She started crying and apologizing for hurting me and being an awful twin. She asked me if I was planning to go no contact with her. I told her no, and I didn't expect her to leave her now wife for my sake, but I also told her to not expect me around as much, at least for now. I'm going to start counseling as many of you suggested. I told her this and she started apologizing again, saying she never meant to push me this far and she would have left my ex a long time ago if I told her how much it bothered me. She assumed since I didn't that I was okay with it. I told her straight up that love works in some odd ways, and while I understand she fell in love, I couldn't have the same relationship with her as we used to. That would have to work on it. We ended the conversation on a tense but also optimistic note. When I dropped her home, she wrapped me in a hug and just held me for a long time. Then she broke apart, gave me a sad smile and went inside. She left for a honeymoon on Tuesday and I started my counseling on Thursday, which I feel went well. Just want to say thank you to everyone that commented and DM'd me after my first post. Now I've got to admit, as I was reading that update, part of it was rubbed me the wrong way, where she said she would have left my ex a long time ago if I told her how much it bothered me. She assumed since I didn't that I was okay with it. I mean, come on. Like we said in the first post, it doesn't take a genius to work out that's going to upset your sibling dating their ex, is it? And I think OP's a bigger person than I am in this particular situation, but you know, he wants a relationship with his sister still, so I can only wish him the best for the future, and I hope things do work out for OP because they truly deserve it in this situation. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Separate Recipe 4077, who says, am I the arsehole for not treating my wife like an equal parent by telling her she has no say in the way I bond with my son and also calling her homophobic? When I, 37 male, was 17, got my then girlfriend 16 pregnant with twin boys. Her parents didn't want the babies to ruin her future, so they said that I had to either take them or give them up for adoption because she was not raising them. I wanted to give them up, but my parents told me not to. For the first 7 years of my boys' lives, I didn't act like a father and was more like a big brother. They knew I was their father though, but we never bonded like father-sons. When I was ready to move out, I wanted to do it without them, but my dad let me know it was my responsibility, so I had to take them. I didn't want it at first, but I'm glad it happened. We started bonding as father and sons. I started loving them and their love for me increased. I remember the three of us would sit on the couch to watch movies. One would sit on my left and one on my right while I wrapped my arms around them. They'd put their heads on my chest and I often kissed their forehead. We've been doing this since they were 7. I met my current wife 5 years ago. My kids were 15. We married 3 years ago after we welcomed our daughter, 4 female. She saw me doing this with my kids when we watched movies and she never said anything. My kids are no longer living with us because they left for college, but they come to see me every now and then. My boys are 20 now, but they still like to put their heads on my chest while I wrap my arms around them. They do it every time they visit and I'm watching TV. My son, Liam, visited me 2 weeks ago. He came out to me as gay and introduced me to his boyfriend. I don't care how many kids live their sexuality or who they love. I love them no matter what. I just want them to be happy and I don't feel any different. And it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable to hug him or kiss his forehead, but it seems that my wife is a little uncomfortable. My son visited me again last Wednesday, since he was here 2 weeks ago, so the first time officially out. I was watching Red with my daughter. She was on my left and my son Liam arrived. He was tired and sat on my right. Put his head on my shoulder while I wrapped my arm around him. Then I kissed his forehead and said, "Good to have you back, buddy." We went to sleep and the next day my wife told me that it made her feel uncomfortable, me hugging and kissing my son, and asked me not to do it again while she doesn't mind me doing it with Lucas, my other son, straight. She doesn't want me to do it with Liam. I told her that she has no business being in my relationship with my sons. I also called her homophobic. She accused me of not treating her like an equal parent to my sons. Thus, I said, "That's okay, because you are not." My brother says I should understand because this is a big change for her, a son coming out. But seriously think, there is nothing to get used to. This isn't neither her nor my problem, who my son loves. Am I in the wrong? Now, to me in this story, you have a great father-son relationship with both of your boys. It sounds like an absolute wonderful time you're having, and being able to see them grow up and you still have this bonding experience that you've had through all their lives. Now, because one of your children has come out as gay, you're suddenly not allowed to show affection, and she's sexualizing this gesture. So absolutely, of course, your wife is going to be wrong in this. But Adrian says not the arsehole, she is being homophobic. The world needs more dads like you. Lost All Doubt says not the arsehole, your wife is sexualizing a gesture that is a form of parental love. I'd be offended and tell her that she is being disgusting. Edit, at 15, your boots were fine being raised when she entered their life, so she really doesn't have any say. Zazog says, man, I love the first 3 paragraphs of this post. Your parents really did right by you, and in turn, you ultimately did right by your boys. Current wife's a problem though. First, she's not an equal parent when it comes to your boys. They're yours, not hers, and were already teenagers by the time she showed up. She doesn't really get a say in how you bond with them, at all. Second, she is indeed a homophobe. There's nothing wrong with a father kissing and hugging his son, of course, but that she needs to make it about one of your boys' orientation is just revolting. Not the arsehole, a million times over. And one more from Warsmith Uriel, who says not the arsehole, your wife has some deep issues if she sees anything sexual in a very healthy and honestly beautiful father-son relationship, especially since she doesn't mind the same kind of relationship with a straight son. I had to delete several lines I was about to write about your wife's thought process because it's just so disgusting. Please sit her down and have a very serious talk about this. Now, what do you guys make of this one? What would you say to a wife in this situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And I saw this one and I love me a little bit of roommate drama as well. It's on the verge of neighbor drama, you know. This one's from Mini Fridge, who says, am I the arsehole for buying a mini fridge to stop my roommate from eating my food when she has no money to buy any? I, 19 female, go to a really expensive college. I'm lucky because not only did I get a scholarship, but my parents are wealthy and I can get money whenever I want. My roommate, on the other hand, isn't as lucky. She comes from a poor background and has to work because her parents can't pay her tuition, and she doesn't even have a partial scholarship. She often takes my food because she wants to spend most of her spare money on makeup, clothes, decorations, and paying for a monthly payment to the school. So I allowed her to eat the food I bought. The issue was that she started eating too much. I understand eating 3 to 4 times a day, but my roommate literally ends a whole fridge full of food in less than 2 weeks, and I got to eat less than 25% of what I had bought. It got to the point I'd asked her to cut it down a bit, and she got offended, asking me if I was calling her fat. To which I replied, no, I'm calling you a binge eater. She said she'd stop, but she never did. Last week I got fed up because I bought my favorite cake from a bakery 30 minutes away and it cost me $120, and I put a little note on it that said, you can eat some, but please leave me half. And when I came home that same day, she had eaten the whole cake, and the note said, sorry, hope you didn't mind, I was hungry and stressed. I ordered a mini fridge from Amazon and it arrived at my house 4 days ago. I immediately went shopping for things I would eat, and that could last me at least 1 to 2 weeks. I'd rather have a less food supply than paying for more and having less. It's in my room and my room is always locked when I'm not home. Yesterday I was lying in bed when she barges in and says, hey, the fridge is kind of empty. When are you going to buy more food? I told her, I'm not. And she got mad and told me I knew her situation and I should be a real friend and buy food for her. Then she saw the mini fridge and she started losing it. Really don't remember what she said, but now her friends are texting me and asking why I decided to stop buying food for us when that was the agreement. I'm sure she's telling them a twisted side of the story, but I still want to know, am I the arsehole? And I was automatically thinking that as well. Whenever we read these kind of stories and they've told friends and the friends are having a go at you, I always think, what have they been told? I'm sure they haven't been told the whole truth here. That, you know, this person's just literally using you for food, eating your food. You're not responsible for feeding someone else. I think you was being more than generous to begin with, that you understood her situation. And But also you mentioned that she's spending all her spare money on makeup, clothes and decorations at the same time, so of course you're going to get fed up with that eventually. It was never going to be sustainable when someone's taking advantage of you like that, so I can't blame you for what you did, and sod her friends and sod her if she's going to treat you like this. She can't get mad when she's the one who's taking the piss basically. If I was in that person's position to begin with, I'd be so grateful that they was helping me out with the food situation. That was incredibly generous, I think. But let's check out some comments to see what they say. Alex English says, not the arsehole, her background is irrelevant here, honestly. She chose to go to an expensive college without a scholarship. She chooses to spend her money on unnecessary stuff. She can buy her own food. You're not responsible for her, no matter how much money you have. Escape Overlander says, honey, you aren't responsible for feeding this grown-ass woman 3 meals a day, especially when she blows her money on non-essentials like an idiot. Perfectly reasonable you put down a boundary of wanting to enjoy your own groceries for once. You did not have a set in stone forever arrangement with this woman. She obviously doesn't respect the boundary and is using you. Friends have a problem with it, they can feed her themselves or drive her to a food bank. Not the arsehole. Pat James says, not the arsehole. It isn't that she doesn't have the money to buy the food. It is that she wants to spend most of her spare money on makeup, clothes and decorations. Not your problem. She is telling her friends that you agreed to pay for her food. I mean, who does that? If her friends are so concerned, tell them that they can buy her food. That should be the last you hear from them. And one more from Lizzie who says, not the arsehole. I had rich roommates in college while I was poor as heck. Worked 2 jobs and had an internship while taking classes. I was able to feed myself but often had to forego buying any luxury items / non-essentials. If she didn't have any money at all and needed help with groceries, that's one thing. But it sounds like she has enough to buy non-necessities and instead is using you to buy her food. Even at my poorest, if I had money to buy food rather than makeup, I went with food and didn't rely on my roommates to feed me. They helped me out here and there, but I never demanded it from them. Don't let people use you. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if that was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, as always, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. And don't forget, over on mark-narrations.com, you can look at the podcast as well. There's lots of different podcasts you can get involved in. Hopefully your favorite one is there. If not, get in contact and I'm sure I can arrange that as well. And also at the end of the video, there will be a couple of playlists there that you can click on and it'll scroll through all of the videos for you. So if you're doing some art, relaxing, whatever you're up to, it'll just play them automatically. Very nice, right? And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today